Hi there, it is time to visualize data. We're going to start with bar graphs. We'll start with this one where we manually do it in After Effects. Then we're going to switch out and do it from Illustrator using its graphing tool, making it a little bit more accurate. Okay, and then going out to Excel for the Excel people who want to animate charts directly from Excel in After Effects. All right, let's go and make these beautiful graphs. All right, so the first thing we're going to show you is we're going to manually do the bar graph in After Effects. Actually, we're going to get it started. Why? Because there's times where you just need to do that, and you might find that that's the nicest way for you. Okay, so let's go to File. Let's go to Open. I've kind of done some basic stuff to get us going. So go to the exercise files, go to bar graphs, O3 bar graphs, and there's this one called bar graph start. Open that up. Okay, and I want you to be on this one. There's the finished version and the start version. Okay, so the finished version is what we're going to be working towards. Okay, but we want to go to the start version. And I've just kind of laid out the title and these axes in here. We're not going to go through how to add these. It's just the pen tool and the type tool. But it can take a little while to get going. So I'm going to make sure I can see the whole thing under fit. All right, so the first thing I'd like to say is that this way can feel a little bit long, and I don't like it mainly because I find it very hard to calculate percentages and do the math myself. We're gonna look in the next one how to use something like Adobe Illustrator or use Excel itself to generate the graph. All of them take a little bit of work, so have a look at all three and go, that's the one for me. Okay, so what I wanna do is put our playhead at the beginning here, and I've locked all these layers so we can't mess with them. Let's grab the rectangle tool. Okay, in terms of fill, I'm going to use my eyedropper and pick one of the colors that we did in the last tutorial. I'm going to go for the lighter version. Okay, in terms of the stroke, click the word stroke and let's set it to none. Up to you. When you first start setting up your axes, what I did is when I drew these lines here, I actually matched them to the grid. So if you go to view and go to show grid, okay, you can actually draw lines and get them to line up to this grid in the background. It helps us a little bit when we're drawing out the bar graphs. Okay, so I've got it on now. I'm just going to make sure snap to grid's on as well. So I'm going to try my best because this is going to be my 100%. Okay, now it is a little funny in terms of drawing. Okay, that's close enough to me. Grab the selection tool. I'm going to drag it down so it's on the right kind of cubes. We have to zoom in a little bit just to make sure. Where are you? Yep, snap to the bottom, snap to the top. Cool. Next one, I'm just going to kind of line it up here. So the first thing we're going to do is, it's going to be quite easy. We're just going to animate it up. Okay, now the problem is the scale position. If I click on my layer here, actually rename shape layer 1. Let's call this one bar 1. And I'm going to hit S for scale. And if I start scaling it, it's doing it from its center anchor point, which is in the middle of the screen. We've run into that problem a few times. What we're going to do is actually adjust the center. Grab this one here, the pan behind tool or the anchor tool, and grab this. Now, if you can't see it, sometimes you got to click off, click back on, okay, and grab this. Now, we want it to be perfectly down the bottom here. So what key do we hold down? Okay, it's the Command key on a Mac or the Control key on a PC, and it should snap to the center down the bottom here. Great, now when I start doing scale, it's going to do it from the center of this. Awesome, so I'm going to turn the grid off because it hurts my eyes. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to make sure our playhead's at 1, hit the scale. Okay, we're going to break this link so that we can separate the height and width, and we're going to play around with, I can never remember which one, this is one here. We're going to set the second, okay, to 0. Come along a little bit, I'm at 7 frames, okay, and I'm going to set it up to 100. Cool, so we've got our first little bar graph animation. I know that that's correct because I set this axis. This is my highest milligram value, so this is going to match it, and everything else is going to be a percentage of this. That's where I run into trouble myself, and I'm like, all right, maths, not good. Okay, so I'm going to use some of the other tools to do it, but you might be totally fine in here. Okay, so we're not going to carry on too much and do every single one of them because it's step and repeat. But what you do is you copy bar 1, you've got bar 2. I'm going to make sure I've got my right tool, selection tool. I'm going to step it along a little bit so that it starts a little bit off. Okay, or after this one here. And then I'm going to grab my selection. Actually, I'm going to use this one here. I'm going to use position and just slide it along. Wrong way. Okay, this way here to be above filter. Cool. And in here, we need to go to our scale and we need to calculate what this filter is, okay, compared to Brood being 100% and filter is, I've got some data here for us. Okay, so filter is, if that's our main 100%, we need to calculate that. And my brain melts here. Okay, and you can use this data here to go off and finish completing the bar graph. A couple of little just tidy up things we'll do before we go is I'm gonna bin bar 2. Goodbye. Is here would be a good time to go through, select these two guys here. We're on scale, remember hold Alt on a Mac or Option on a PC. Okay, it's the opposite of what I just said. Okay, it is Alt on a PC. And grab, remember our expression, come into here, delete them, paste it, okay, and we'll get just a nicer bar graph going up. And also you can turn on the motion blur, okay, and make sure the motion blur is on this layer and things start looking a little nicer. Nice. Okay, so it's not all lost because that same technique of putting the anchor point down the bottom here and getting them to bounce is gonna be what we need to do still when we're using either Excel or Illustrator. So let's go and learn those other options in the next video.